Welcome to the Solid Verbal. The Solid Verbal.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
I've heard so many players say, well, I want to be happy. You want to be happy for a day? Eat a steak.
It's that woo-woo!
And now, Dan and Ty.
Welcome back to the Solid Verbal, boys and girls. My name is Ty Hildenbrand. I am joined, as always, by my good friend, my colleague, my co-host, my California co-host of many years. His name is Dan Rubenstein. Sir, how are you?
I'm good. You sound very rested. Is that the case?
I haven't been at work for a couple days.
Yeah.
We haven't recorded upwards of a week now. I am recharged. I'm rejuvenated. I am ready for the stretch run here of college football.
Oh, I love hearing that. So I'm in California right now. I'm in the bedroom in which I grew up. So this is where I record generally when I'm visiting home. It's 70 degrees and sunny, Ty. And once again, I would like to formally announce my not going home, not dealing with the East Coast ever again. Because, again, I have made the dumbest physical move of all time, going from Southern California to the Northeast.
It was your decision, though. It was a voluntary decision.
Yes, it was a voluntary decision, but I went on a taco crawl yesterday. I've been just like strolling outside at night. I went outside on my laptop to prepare for this show. Outside, Ty, as in not inside.
Yeah.
It was wonderful out.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. How's mom? Mom, dad, good? Everyone's good?
Everybody's doing well.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing well. Been eating a lot of food, and we'll get to the holiday talk, I think, after where we got a bunch of games to preview, a few games to review, some news to discuss, but I still haven't seen Star Wars. I'm going to go out and see that tonight, hopefully.
Okay.
I've got one of those theaters with the reclining
that's where
leather plush chairs.
Yep.
Man. God, I love it all.
All right, let's get to some news here.
Yeah, let's do that.
We have breaking news.
Wow, you're like a dying dog.
That was terrible. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We have a Randy Edsall dream job alert, Dan.
Oh, my God.
I feel like I need a new sound for this. Randy Edsall now back at UConn. He left, 6 years ago to pursue another dream job at Maryland, but now he's back. Seemingly better than ever, going back to Storrs, Connecticut, where he had a lot of success. I don't have any real hot takes on this move, other than to say that it isn't all that often where you have a coach leave, then come back. It's happened a couple times, obviously, in college football lore. Clearly, this is on the Mount Rushmore of them, being so it's at UConn, Dan. Any hot takes here? Any thoughts?
No, I enjoyed our pal Spencer Hall treating this like a companionship marriage out of convenience and to show a united front for the kids. We're just like, look, we don't love each other, but we both want to explore the Greek islands and go on some cruises later on. We both like Indian food. We both like dark comedies. So, you know what? Let's just hang out. It's not going to be passionate, but it's going to make sense.
Wasn't that sort of the plot of that Ryan Reynolds, Sandra Bullock movie? I forget the name of it.
I think that was an immigration thing.
Oh, okay. Close enough.
Listen, can I with authority tell you this is not an immigration thing and Randy Edsall is not a secret Canadian? No, I can't tell you that, Ty. That would be irresponsible of me.
All right. Well, Randy Edsall's back at UConn, a familiar face.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot breaking on the news front. We can go through here and talk about some of the bowl results. But Kendall Briles, he's going to be offensive coordinator at FAU. Nothing like Lane Kiffin injecting a little bit more controversy into the situation by bringing over a Briles to help run the show down there at FAU. But clearly an offensive mind, a bright offensive mind that I think brings a lot of promise, just in a football sense, to the Owls.
Did you see the story? Kendall Briles is in Atlanta during Peach Bowl preparation with Lane Kiffin interviewing potential assistants. So Lane Kiffin is in Atlanta, game planning and preparing for Alabama, Washington. Kendall Briles' new offensive coordinator is also in Alabama, also in Atlanta, interviewing candidates in some sort of like weird, shady Bob's from Office Space.
Yeah.
Just like the two of them are allegedly shady. Weird scenario. But, I mean, it has coached good offenses.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't anticipate talking about FAU all that much moving forward.
No. All right. Any other news here before we get to some bold notes?
I don't think so. I know Michigan and Penn State both sort of said, look, there are injuries and there are suspensions in the case of Penn State for violation of team rules. We're not saying. We're withholding that information. So I guess that's something to keep track of moving forward in the next couple of days if you listen to this show right away.
Yeah.
But no, nothing too extreme. You're seeing some coaches move around a little bit after bowl games, some assistants, position coaches, coordinators. Once the mess is totally sort of cleared from bowl games and hires, we will sort of evaluate everything as best we can, which is not that high a level, but the general fun after the bowl games.
All right, moving on. Some bowl games, many bowl games actually, have already been played, Dan. How's your bowl pool looking? I can
started
tell you
very
mine.
strong.
Yeah, I started real strong, and now it's starting to come off the swivel a little bit.
I am going to load it right now. I want to say I'm still in the 80s. I've gotten a few recent ones wrong, but I started out pretty strong. Who is atop our bowl pool? So I am 92nd percentile. That's not bad.
We're all doing okay because it seems as if, again, most people subscribe to the East Coast Elliott front-loading theory and got 83 points right out of the chute. Mm-hmm. That helped buoy the standings of not only the group, but each individual pool entry. Now's where I'm starting to take on water. Like yesterday, we're recording this on a Wednesday. Tuesday night, I took it on the chin. Ooh. I took it on the chin, but good, because the two cornerstones of my motivation theory for picking games, Baylor and Minnesota, both inexplicably found a way to win. That in conjunction with Temple losing to Wake Forest, that was pretty much all she wrote for me. So I'd expect at some point, it's just this leak is going to catch up with me and I'm going to fall out of like the 90th percentile. But for now, I'm hanging in because of the early point totals that I was able to tally up.
Yeah, the Minnesota, and we'll get into this when we talk about it, the game specifically, but the Minnesota Wazoo situation was interesting because you could do pretty well if you're just choosing straight up in these games. You can do pretty well picking against a Pac-12 team disappointed to be in the Holiday Bowl. That is, in terms of trends, that is a nice little pick that you can count on. And obviously the drama at Minnesota sort of throws a wrench into that possibility to do every year when you have drama on the other side of it. But typically there's a Big 12 team, sometimes Big 10 team that, they came on strong late in the season, super pumped to go to the West Coast. In the case of Wazoo, they were playing for the Pac-12 North, went pretty south pretty quickly against Washington, the rival, at home, and didn't quite work out. But yeah, that's something I overlooked. That's on me.
Yeah. All right. So here are some notes that I jotted down. Army won in overtime over North Texas. They rushed for 480 yards. That was not the story, though, was it?
No, the rushing attack of Army was very much not the story, even though it was the best thing in this game football-wise. But North Texas running back, good running back. His name is not right in front of me. Maybe you remember it.
Jeffrey Wilson. He scored 2 touchdowns.
Just kept on puking. Just kept puking on the field.
Heretofore, we shall refer to Jeffrey Wilson as Mega Puke because he did it twice on the same drive. If you were watching the game, clearly you saw it. If you didn't see it, you can go back and see the replay. The first time he did it, he clearly caught his quarterback off guard. They were both in the shotgun, about 3 or 4 yards back of center. Mm-hmm. He proceeds to go ahead and just explode everywhere. The quarterback looks over like, what the hell just happened? Center snaps the ball, a bit of a mad scramble to get it. The second time was a couple plays later. He was on the other side of the quarterback, and this time the quarterback just had no reaction. Like it ain't no thing. Ball snaps, running back stays into block. I don't know what the outcome of the play was, but this might be the singular funniest moment of all bowl seasons so far.
Yeah, and it goes without saying, if he has actual stomach and intestinal issues that he has to constantly fight through, we hope he's healthy and good and everything like that. But I should say this, as somebody far softer than this guy, if I puked like he did that first time, I would totally take myself out of complete life commission for a week. Like, nope, something is wrong with me. My body is rejecting my very existence. I'm going to hang out and eat a bunch of soup. That's my life now. And he just kept on playing.
Could have been a nerves thing,
Sure.
All right. So Army won. Good for Army. I had a ton of points on that. That one helped me. One game that didn't was Wake. I'm going in no particular order here, just in the order of my notes. But Wake scored 31 straight points against Temple after falling into an early 7-0 hole. Temple tried to climb back. They were unable to do so, but just sort of a really nice effort here by Wake. I did not see this one coming. I was all in on Temple here. I should have subscribed to my own logic. When a team loses a coach, you bet against them in bowl season. But I didn't do that. I thought Temple would finish a little stronger. And to their credit, they did finish strong in the second half. They just didn't play in the first half.
Yeah. Wake defensively, and this is the sort of story about Wake, especially because their offensive game plans have leaked the past couple years. Defensively, I thought they did a really nice job, even though Temple threw for a bunch. I don't think Phillip Walker ever really got into a rhythm throwing downfield a ton, and they shut down Temple on the ground. So you have to feel good about that, I suppose, as a Notre Dame fan. That Mike Elko, that's his name?
Mike Elko
was the architect of a much improved defense against a good Temple offense. And even though Wake scored, I think they only scored at the very end of the game in the second half. They did enough early on to finish the season on a very high note after a much improved and unexpectedly drama-filled November, December.
In the Poinsettia Bowl, we had BYU winning 24-21 over Wyoming. Jamal Williams with 210 on the ground, did I see?
Yeah. And his final college game had a great showing and a nice year for Wyoming, too. BYU, listen, finishing out a very tough non-conference part of their schedule. A very tough non-con part. So BYU cements their status as a really good Mountain West team that just doesn't play in the Mountain West.
Yeah, and a good job, by the way, by that coaching staff.
Yes, first year, to finish the season, they finished 9-4 with the bowl game, 8-4 beforehand. First year coach in Kalani Sitake. They seem to really play to an identity, even though Tanner Mangum wasn't great. 9 wins with the bowl game. It's a very successful first year campaign, especially given what looked like a very tough and complete schedule.
All right. Old Dominion won the Bahamas Bowl over EMU, Eastern Michigan. That was their first ever bowl victory. So
love it.
Good for them.
You get to go to the Bahamas and win your first bowl game ever? Wonderful.
Not bad. You're coming out ahead.
Yeah.
We had Louisiana Tech beat Navy 48-45 on a last-second field goal. This is one of the better bowl games so far.
Fun game. We talked about how prolific Louisiana Tech's offense has been this year with, I think, 2,000-yard receivers, and they both came up big in this game. Ryan Higgins continues to be a very underrated quarterback in the season that he's had. And Navy, for the struggles that they've had just staying healthy with whatever 19th string quarterback that played in this game. Good for them for coming to play against a pretty decent Louisiana Tech team. And hey, man, Skip Holtz. Just listen, if Brian Kelly leaves early, you've got the name connect. Big offense, great game call. Come on, Ty.
All right. La Tech wins 48-45. Good game. There were also a collection of games that really just had me scratching my head. Mississippi State wins 17-16 over Miami, Ohio. They win on a blocked, potentially game-winning field goal at the gun. This was the St. Petersburg Bowl. You may recognize it as having the worst turf in the history of artificial turf. It's always been bad. It wasn't just this year. If this was your first St. Petersburg Bowl experience, I was a little surprised that Mississippi State had as much trouble as they did. However, the Gus Ragland train, man, keeps on rolling for Miami, Ohio. Finished all year with 17 touchdowns, I believe, to no interceptions. So good for him.
Yeah, always fun when a bowl game finishes with both teams ending the season 6-7. That's what you're looking for on bad turf. But Nick Fitzgerald did a nice enough job. He's not great as a thrower, yet, but put the offense on his back, ran for over 100 yards, and it's nice to have an experienced quarterback for the system at which you play. So, okay, good for Mississippi State in eking out a dumb win.
Another head scratcher. Boston College beats Maryland 36-30. I play the shootout sound with the full working knowledge that 36-30 is on the lower end of what we'd consider a shootout. However, if you look at the output offensively from both BC and Maryland this year, clearly this is on the upper echelon of what each team is capable of. 36-30, BC wins the Quick Lane Bowl in Detroit the day after Christmas, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I guess a good way to go out for BC. It was a really, really frustrating offensive year for them. So to score 36 points against Maryland or really just anybody, that's a nice little, stocking stuffer for them.
Yeah, with what Maryland left for DJ Durkin to play with on both sides of the ball, making a bowl is decent enough. I can't really fault Maryland for the season that they've had early on, or DJ Durkin for their season. BC losing their defensive coordinator, love Dandy Don Brown. That defense took a big step back, coupled with the losses that they had on defense. So good for BC for finishing the season out strong. Ty Johnson, who had a strong opening of the season, had a nice day for Maryland. Perry Hills did not get past the BMT, the bar mitzvah threshold of quarterback rating, 1.9 in this game. Did not surpass.
Good. That's not good.
But hey, good for BC.
All right, another head scratcher. Speaking of shootouts, holy crap, the Idaho Potato Bowl, famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Idaho wins. I should have stuck to my guns here. I should have uniformly applied my theory of going against teams that lose their head coaches and for teams that are playing relative home games. Even though this game was 5 hours away from the campus of Idaho, it was still in the state. It was still the Potato Bowl, which is named after the damn state. They win 61-50 over Colorado State. I did not see this coming. Great game for Nick Stevens, 445 through the air, 5 touchdowns. This one screwed a lot of people over in their bowl pools because Colorado State was one of those teams. You look at the S&P, you look at all of our per play stats. They ranked very highly and had a much better resume. There was nothing here to suggest that Idaho would put up 61 points, but lo and behold, they came to play. They're the ones, they win by 11 points here in their home state bowl, Potato Bowl. Man.
Not a great night for pass defense enthusiasts.
Nope.
But both Matt Linehan and Nick Stevens had very nice nights. A furious comeback, fell short for Colorado State. I think they scored, 35-36 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Set all sorts of records. And Colorado State, yes, they came in with a ton of momentum, a very strong November. But listen, you go up to Idaho, it's cold, there's a blue turf. All the locals are probably rooting on Idaho. And a really nice showing for Idaho, especially as they sort of, I guess, in earnest begin their transition to going FCS, which is a disappointment, especially with a performance like this.
NC State clobbered Vanderbilt 41-17.
You know how with certain coaches who say, you don't give Nick Saban that much time to prepare.
Right.
You don't give Chris Peterson that much time to watch tape and prepare. I'm fine with giving Andy Ludwig, offensive coordinator for Vanderbilt, all the time he needs. I just listen, you want an extra couple weeks? Do you want Wake Forest game plan? What do you need? How can we help you? I'm fine with giving Andy Ludwig that kind of time because he had all that time and scored 17 points.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Still
NC
a nice
State.
season for Vandy.
NC State clobbers them. Still a nice year for Vandy.
Did Kyle Shermer pass the bar mitzvah threshold of quarterback rating?
I'm going to say no.
No, he did not.
No.
He did not. Absolutely not.
And then finally, the two, again, where I said I took it on the chin. Baylor beat Boise State pretty handily. And Minnesota won 17-12 over Wazoo. Dan, any thoughts here other than KD Cannon being virtually uncoverable?
Yeah, this is nothing new for him. When the Baylor offense is rolling, KD Cannon has a lot of room to run or room to catch passes. And I believe it'll be his last game for the Bears. Zach Smith had a nice day, has a nice arm. Boise State, when they can't run, they can't do all that much. As efficient as Brett Rippon is through the air, he throw it 50 times? I think both Boise State and Wazoo threw it 50 times and scored 12 points each. Not a great rate of return. So nice season for Boise State, one of the more complete teams in the country. But Baylor, they found motivation even with everything going on, and a nice performance, especially. Actually, from that, I was more impressed maybe by the defense to shut down Boise's offense like they did.
All right. Before we move on and talk about playoffs and New Year's Six bowl games,
what do we got?
Got to pay the bills here, okay?
Let's do that.
Let's talk to you about SeatGeek. I'm looking right now at SeatGeek's website. They've got Peach Bowl tickets. You can get 2 tickets to the Peach Bowl right now for like $150.
Oh,
now,
yeah, go do that.
Believe me, as somebody who tried to get into Notre Dame, Alabama, $150 ain't bad. You can do a lot worse than $150. If in fact you're a Washington Husky fan or an Alabama fan, some decent options here. Not bad, $150. You can live with
Absolutely.
that. You can live with that.
For a playoff semi, especially if you're in the area, yeah.
Absolutely. Give it a look. We've told you time and time again, SeatGeek, the smartest, easiest way to find tickets for all the games you want to see up close and in person. There is nothing like being in the stadium for a big game. See big
Correct.
plays. Obviously, a lot of these games now have real consequence on the national scene. So with SeatGeek, you can shop with comfort, with confidence, and with ease. There's never been an easier way to get the guaranteed seats you want for great value. We've said it time and time again. We've got the app on the phone. It's super easy. Fire it up. You click around. You find the tickets you're looking for. By the way, it's not just football. All sorts of events, all sorts of concerts,
yeah.
other performances, really just at your fingertips. What I like about it is that they guarantee you get the best deal on every ticket, because what they do is they compare the prices on multiple ticketing sites. They know it can vary depending where you shop, but what they do is they grade out every ticket. They show you where you can get the most bang for your buck. Every ticket is given a grade based on value. So you're immediately going to see where the underpriced seats are, and you can find whatever fits in your budget if you want to get into the game. Again, every ticket is backed 100% by their guarantee, which means that you can shop with confidence. You're not going to get scammed out of your money. This has sounded pretty good so far, right, Dan? This is all good, yes?
I could see next year, Pinstripe Bowl, Notre Dame. You have that history with the hat, with the win, with, protecting the legacy of Notre Dame's Pinstripe Bowl history. You're using SeatGeek to get in 100%.
That's right, baby. Right now,
I got good food racks for you in the Bronx.
Yeah, right now, our listeners get a $20 rebate off their first SeatGeek purchase. Here is how this works. Download the free SeatGeek app, SeatGeek. Go and download it. It's free. Then you click on the settings tab and click on add a promo code. Then you enter our promo code, which is SOLID, SOLID. They are going to send you $20 after you make your first purchase. It's extremely straightforward. It's a free app. The promo code is SOLID. I would suggest go out there, give it a shot, see if there are any tickets that are in your wheelhouse. I think you'll like it.
Agreed.
All right. Moving on, Dan, we've got big games to discuss here, do we not?
Oh, no.
Yeah, buddy. What are you doing on New Year's Eve 2016, 2017, Dan? You got any special plans here, watching the games, taking the missus out to dinner? What do you got in the agenda?
I will not be taking still a miss out to dinner because I'll be watching the games. I don't know. Maybe I'll cook. Maybe I'll bring in food. Maybe a couple SB Nation College Football Pals in New York will come over. Haven't figured that out yet. I will say this, though, Ty. I was thinking about it, and I genuinely, this is not ironic. I'm not blowing smoke. I miss Pitbull. I miss Pitbull in the Dr. Pepper commercials. And like, I'm feeling real emotional about it, actually.
Yeah.
It took Pitbull leaving my life to realize how much I missed him.
Sometimes you don't know what you got until it's gone.
Yeah, so I'm going to have a real good time no matter what. But no, I'm just going to keep it low-key, watch these games. I don't like New Year's. We've talked about this before. Stay in, invite good people over, and enjoy yourselves. Be chill.
Well, typically, my plan has been to gather up some friends, and we're not doing the all-night drinking thing at this point because we're a bunch of old fogies. But what we've grown accustomed to doing the last couple of years is we get a really late reservation at a really good hibachi place. I don't know how we came up with this idea, but get a really late reservation at a good hibachi place. We go and eat delicious hibachi food. And then a lot of times we're back here at the house before the ball actually drops. Last year was a complication because of obviously the playoff games. This year they're a little earlier, so I think we'll be able to get away with it. Thankfully, Watch ESPN came in handy. Thankfully, Alabama shut out Michigan State last year, which also made life a little easier to kind of fit everything in. But this time around, we're going to get to this game momentarily. The Fiesta Bowl, I think, has a lot of potential to be really close and really fun. So I'm kind of on the edge of my seat here a little bit as to how I'm going to make this all work. But
you say hibachi, you mean like one of those table they cook at your table?
Oh yeah,
tap on table type. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. I like
good
that
stuff. Let's start with the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, Dan. They're playing this one on New Year's Eve again, hopefully for the last time, but 3 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. They play it in the Atlanta, Georgia Dome. It is, of course, a contest between number 1 Alabama at 13-0 and number 4 Washington at 12-1, your Pac-12 champions. Alabama, about a 2-touchdown favorite, about 14 points, Dan. What did our 1998 college football simulation say about this game?
Simulated NCAA 98 with Washington and Alabama this morning as we record this. And 13-10 Washington. They held on late. Some really bad play calling late from Alabama, bad clock management. Washington opened it up early and sort of sat on the lead. And is it plausible that Washington holds Alabama to 10 points? Yeah, we've seen it this season. I was going to say better LSU defense.
I think it is plausible. If you were to tell me that this game finished 13-10 one way or the other, I could see that.
Well, that would also maybe suggest that it was a late clutch field goal, which Alabama and kicking game, I don't know if I can count on that. So maybe it is Washington.
All right. So the old computer simulation led by Brock,
aside from that,
led by Brock Heward, I believe, in 1998.
I think it was Brock Heward. Yeah.
They had Washington winning 13-10. You can go on our Facebook page, check it out. Facebook.com/solidverbal.
Nice.
I have read some commentary that because Chad Kelly was able to throw the ball on Alabama, there is precedent for another strong arm quarterback like Jake Browning to have the same kind of success. Do you believe in Jake Browning having similar success against Alabama?
No. Maybe early. Maybe early he's able to move the ball. It's a different system that Ole Miss runs. It's also an Ole Miss team with really good big pass catchers, including Evan Ingram. And I really like Washington's receivers, but with the physicality of Alabama's defensive backs, even though Eddie Jackson won't be playing, I think it's an especially tough matchup with what Washington's trying to do. They run a lot, pro style. And even though they're a multiple team, it's tough to go into the teeth of Alabama, to say the least, especially against this front. Alabama's defense is basically perfect. And if you are going to succeed against Alabama, we saw it a little bit with Texas A&M. We've seen it with Ole Miss over the past couple of years. We saw it with Texas A&M with Johnny Manziel. You got to do it early. You have to be able to game plan extraordinarily well and come out scripted or whatever the case is, run pass option, very, very good early. Luckily for Washington, that's how they play. They come out and they punch teams really well. And that includes Jake Browning. He gets worse over the course of the game. Washington runs the ball stronger over the course of the game. I just think it's going to be such an impossible task that they need to go up 17-3 and run the ball well if they even have a chance, because Alabama's still probably going to come back and take a lead even down that much early on. Alabama's defense, everybody knows about. Offensively, we're still talking about a freshman quarterback. They've shown some struggles in the red zone. We saw that LSU game, and once again, LSU's defense, especially in the red zone, is better than Washington's. Defensively, Washington, they're balanced. They have especially good defensive backs. They're without two hugely key players in Joe Mathis, their big edge rusher, and Azim Victor, their best linebacker, or maybe the best linebacker in the Pac-12. I just don't think Washington has the depth over 4 quarters. I love the coaching staff. I love the adjustments they've made over the season, but we saw in the limited sample size of Washington against a defense as talented as Alabama's, not as deep, but as talented with the front and the defensive backfield of USC. The receivers struggled to get open. Jake Browning struggled to read the defense.
Yeah.
I just don't see it going all that well. I have Alabama crockpotting this game 30-13.
30-13.
And honestly, Alabama could win this game at the exact same score that they beat USC, which was about 52-6, something like that. And this season has been an overwhelming and crazy success for Washington. And this is all gravy. I know Washington is taking this very seriously and they want to win the national championship. Whatever happens for Washington, it's an A+ of a season.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Dan. We're at the point with Alabama. You mentioned their defense is virtually perfect. We're at the point with them where I think you lose to Alabama and people find it really easy to just gloss over that. If you're looking at a resume, like, you just assume a loss to Alabama, like a 10 in blackjack at this point. Right. That is how good the defense has been. I looked up their stats because I think you're right. Washington needs to establish some kind of running game to have any shot at winning, and that's going to be hard. Alabama is allowing 2 yards per rush. Dan, I want you to lay down on the floor in your old bedroom. That's about one Dan Rubenstein body length.
Yeah.
Every rush, that's all they're allowing, which is incredibly stingy. If you compare that to the next best rush defense in college football, which on college football stats, at least according to average yards allowed per game, that would be Wisconsin. They're allowing 33 fewer yards than Wisconsin. They're also the only team in the country that's allowed fewer than 1,000 rushing yards all year. They haven't allowed 1,000 rushing yards all season. They've only allowed 826. So it's conceivable they could, with 2 really stellar defensive efforts, hold everyone in like 14 or 15 games below 1,000 yards rushing, which is just incredible to me. They're going to need that rushing game, Washington will, if they want to have any shot in this game. To my earlier point, I like Jake Browning. He threw 42 touchdown passes this year, which somehow gets glossed over. That's a really good year. I don't think he can do it entirely on his own the way Chad Kelly could. And you're right. There were moments where he struggled against a USC defense, against a Colorado defense, against some of the better defenses. He had a real hard time.
He is so situationally different.
Yeah.
Like in the first half, his quarterback rating is through the roof. He's got it's 28 touchdowns to 4 picks. In the fourth quarter, he's not completing 50% of his passes. If Washington doesn't stay ahead of schedule against Alabama, which is entirely possible, if he's staring down the barrel of 3rd and 8, 3rd and 11s, he's nothing. He really is a completely below average, underwhelming quarterback. That said, if he's connecting on 1st and 2nd down, he is virtually unstoppable. So Washington staying ahead of schedule with Jake Browning in the passing game is basically everything.
Yeah, it really is. And you're also right to say about USC's line working over Washington when they played earlier in the year. You have to assume that if USC's line could do what it did, that Alabama will have a lot more success because Alabama is just in a different stratosphere. That's the first thing that I think works against Washington. The other thing that I will throw out there is something that I mentioned earlier on. Washington's very balanced, really on both sides of the football. I'm confident that Chris Peterson's not going to be out coached by Nick Saban. You give him time, I think you're going to like the result. The difference, though, in this game is something that we discovered when they played Arizona back in September. Like, if you line up pro style against Washington, I think you're kind of playing to their strength. But if you line up with a really good spread option attack and a mobile QB like Jalen Hurts, someone that can run, I think that's the way to go at him. Last year, Alabama didn't have that dimension with Jay Coker. This year with Jalen Hurts, clearly they've proven they could be really effective in that capacity. So I think that's another thing that works to their advantage. I don't know if it's so much a crock-potting, but I'm feeling like 35-21, somewhere in that range. I like Alabama to win to the tune of like 33 confidence points.
Yeah, if Washington has a decent enough chance to make this a game, but if they are going to win this game, and we saw some struggles offensively against Colorado, but they comfortably won that game, they're going to need to flip the field maybe 3 times. They're going to need to, Washington touchdown drive, 19 yards, those kinds of things for Washington to stay in this for 4 quarters, because it is just a depth thing. Alabama gets stronger over the course of the game. Washington is up and down over the course of the game against the better teams that they've played.
All right, so we're both on the Alabama train. Surprise, surprise.
Correct.
Okay, moving on then, there is another playoff game. We've got the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. I've never gotten over them moving away from Tostitos, but okay. We had a Battle Frog Fiesta Bowl a year ago. Apparently they don't have the budget anymore to sponsor a big bowl game.
Frog lost the battle.
That's right. This one's played in Glendale, Arizona, at University of Phoenix Stadium. This one is on New Year's Eve at 7 p.m. on ESPN. Ohio State 11-1, a 3-point favorite against Clemson 12-1. Ohio State won. Oh, they didn't win the Big Ten. My bad.
They did not. Ooh, they did not. No.
Clemson won the ACC. Dan, this is a great matchup.
It is.
I am genuinely excited to watch this game. I don't think that this game will be defined by shutdown defense one way or the other. I think we are jonesing for a good old-fashioned shootout.
Really?
In the Wild West, Dan. What did our computer simulations say about this game?
24-7 is what I'm seeing right here. Yeah, Clemson won comfortably.
So if I told you on January 1st that Clemson won this game 24-7, would that to you be a practical outcome? Would that be something that would be expected for you?
No, I would not expect Clemson to win this game that comfortably.
I would not expect anyone to hold anyone under 10 points in this game.
When I see Ohio State's offense, I feel concern because given the talent they had, and it's defensible given JT Barrett taking a step back with a new look offensive line, partly a lot of new skill players, a second year without Tom Herman. It's certainly you could expect a little bit of regression, but the fact that they fell as far as they did offensively later on in the season against decent teams, that was disappointing. They've struggled to generate 10-plus yard chunk plays and just haven't been at all consistent. Ohio State's defense is flat out great, and it would not surprise me if they completely shut down Clemson because there's so much talent on that Ohio State defense and depth on that defense, which is crazy considering how much they lost before the season. Clemson's offense especially can play into that because there's just been too many turnovers from Clemson this season, considering the talent and experience they have on offense. But that said, if Clemson's able to run the ball with any sort of vigor and excitement and success, they become a pretty unstoppable offense when you have to concern yourselves with that. Clemson's defense specifically, I like their height. They start out games really, really well. But by the end of games, Clemson's defense, we've seen this week in and week out against some of the better teams on their schedule. Louisville had a big second half. Virginia Tech came back and made it interesting. Clemson's defense starts out games just looking like a wall. And then they end games I just need some oxygen. Really worn out and tired, especially against the run. That's what concerns me against Ohio State. That said, in a game with so much talent and so much to like between the two teams, I'm going with the better quarterback. That's just what I'm going with. I have Clemson here, even as 3.5 point dogs.
Yep.
I have them winning 24-20. I think they formulate a way, and I have too much concern about the Ohio State offense to take the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I mean, I share your concern. JT Barrett passing against Clemson to me is an issue. Clemson's been real good against the pass. JT Barrett, quite frankly, has not been good throwing the ball as of late. The stats aren't terrible.
Right.
They're not terrible. If you look at the stat line, you're not going to look at it and say, oh my God, he's awful. It's not that bad. But you need to watch the games. In the Michigan game, he was not comfortable at all in the pocket.
No.
And he did get better. In fairness, he made some big throws when he had to later in the game. But I feel like his arm is a real liability here. I would like to see somewhere in the range of 25 to 30 passing attempts for him. Some shots down the field. They got to get vertical in the passing game if they want to have any chance. It will open up the run game. It'll make that aspect of their offense better. In the Michigan and Michigan State games, there's just too much short stuff. They didn't air it out. So they need to, I think, try and establish that early. It will open up that run game early. It will open it up late.
So what I
like about Ohio State is that they've been wildly efficient on offense. Bill Connolly said that they peck and poke at you 5 yards at a time, which I thought was a really good way to characterize his offense. So I'm not super confident in this result, but I do side with you. And I think in the biggest games of Clemson's season a year ago, they turned the ball over to Deshaun Watson. And I don't know if it was so much a game plan as it was, hey, man, go win us the game. And in those games, we saw he was just really good with his legs. Far more rushing attempts down the stretch for Clemson than in the early going last year. And I think that trend's going to continue. I saw it written, it might have been Bill Connolly again, who mentioned that nobody's better at the hopeless 3rd and 7 situation than Deshaun Watson. He just finds a way to get it done. So I think the outcome of this game ultimately comes down to what he's able to do. And I've learned over the last 2 years that you shouldn't doubt that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't doubt that. The reason I think it's a shootout is because there have been games this year where Ohio State's given up points. And certainly, as you mentioned, Clemson's run out of gas defensively. Against the best teams on their schedule, they've given up a lot of points. So I just think it's going to be one of them games. I think a shootout. I think a tight game. I think Clemson wins 41-38.
Wow. 41. What is that? A combined 79 points?
41-38.
I would love for that to be the case. And I think you hit something dead on talking about Ohio State's offense pecking at teams. They, at least as of a couple weeks ago, I don't know if it's changed with any bowl results. Probably not, because that's just versus conference teams. Ohio State's short yardage third down offense, like 3rd and 1 to 3, their success rate was something crazy high on the ground. It's like they were converting like 84% or something. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but something crazy high of those short yardage third down situations, which is just backbreaking for a defense looking to get off the field. You know, holding a good team, getting to third down, whatever, and having the opportunity to get off the field, especially a Clemson defense that, as we've both mentioned now, sort of gets tired over the course of the game. That, I think, is going to be so huge for Clemson to get off the field as often as possible early.
All right, so we both have Clemson.
Yes.
I don't know if either of us is wildly confident in that result. I like Clemson a lot, but this is a matchup between two really good teams, and they're here for a reason. I'm glad they're in this matchup, and I'm just going to go with my heart here and say the Tigers win. Close one.
You know what else we have, Ty, for both of these games? Swag! Swag!
What's the playoff swag situation?
We've got swag. Alabama, Washington in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. $300 Visa gift card by Incom, whatever that is.
Incom.
JBL Bluetooth speaker.
Okay.
I think that's always useful. A Fossil watch and a football. I like $300 Visa card. Just do what you got to do. Great. Any thoughts about any of those gifts?
No, that's fine. Standard issue. I'd like to know what Incom is. It sounds like a.
I'm worried.
It sounds like an off-market betting type of website, but okay.
At the Fiesta Bowl, we have a gift suite or a PS4 game and accessory bundle. We've got a backpack. Ty, do you have a guess for the brand?
Agio. Please be Agio.
It is Agio. Absolutely.
Yes.
It is 100% Agio. A Fossil watch and a football there as well. So I guess it's probably a better side, depending on what's the gift suite at the Fiesta Bowl. And it's not going to be Tostitos.
No.
It's not going to be Tostitos.
No.
Looks like the Peach Bowl, they win.
Speaking of food, Dan, we got to pay some bills.
Okay, what do you got? I'm ready to talk about food. I'm ready to hear you possibly mispronounce something.
I have something here that says, talk about your personal experience with Blue Apron.
Oh, let's hear it.
All right, I'm peeling back the curtain a little bit here. I feel I've talked about my personal experience time and time again on the program.
Sure.
I had a great personal experience with Blue Apron. They send you everything you need. They send you exact instructions for how to cook it. There's minimal waste. The packaging on this is beautiful. And above all else, you got good ingredients, and the food itself, the meal that you're cooking for you and yours, is wonderful. It was a magical experience. Solid Wife looked at me yearningly, longingly, with a fresh set of eyes, Dan, after I cooked this Blue Apron meal for her.
Give it to me, Ty, that Blue Apron dinner.
That's right, baby. For less than $10 a meal, Blue Apron can deliver seasonal recipes to you and yours, along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals, Dan. They know that when you cook with incredible ingredients, you make incredible meals. So they set the highest quality standards for their community of artisanal suppliers, family-run farms, fisheries, and ranchers. So that means whether it's Japanese ramen noodles or Alaskan salmon, heirloom tomatoes, Blue Apron is always bringing the noise, bringing the funk, bringing the best, Dan.
It's true.
Here's what they got in December.
Here we go. Cracking my knuckles.
Okay, I'm going to try this.
All right, I'm
cracking my knuckles. Roasted pork and braised cabbage along with barley and glazed apples.
You nailed it.
Did I pronounce apples correctly?
100%. 1 for 1.
Thai green coconut curry with sweet potato and jasmine rice.
Okay, 2 for 2.
And finally,
both in delicious sounding things and in pronunciation.
Brown butter and chestnut gnocchi.
You're getting there.
With Brussels sprouts and pea shoot salad.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds really good.
Check out this week's menu. Get your first 3 meals for free with shipping. 3 free meals with shipping. Go to blueapron.com/soliddan.
Ty, what is your number one, just in terms of cooking for yourself? This is just a 45-second tangent. I was thinking about this the other day because when I'm home, I have these thoughts. What is your number one come home from school, like middle school, high school, after school snack that you would make for yourself?
I was always a big nachos and cheese kind of guy.
Really? Like in the microwave, in the toaster oven?
Usually in the microwave, yeah. I realize they're not sponsoring this, but I'd pop on a few Tostitos, some tortilla chips, sprinkle some cheese on it, run it in the microwave for like 20 seconds.
That's a great call. And this actually, it just speaks to the fact, Blue Apron. It makes it just as easy as throwing some chips in a microwave. You have all the ingredients already, but
it's mindless, Dan. It's incredible.
You know what I did? This was one more step than a nacho microwave. English muffin pizzas.
Oh, yeah, that's a pro move.
I'd slice open an English muffin, throw whatever jarred tomato sauce we had and some shredded mozzarella cheese, throw it in the toaster oven for 2 or 3 minutes. Wonderful.
That's a good move, yeah.
Yeah, I recommend it now. If anybody's looking for a real dumb thing to cook for yourself that's also delicious, English muffin pizzas, still good.
So either nachos and cheese, English muffin pizza, or clearly Lunchable is always an option.
Oh, no.
Head on out right now to blueapron.com/solid. Blue Apron is a better way to cook. Again, 3 free meals with free shipping. Blueapron.com/solid.
Do it.
We've got some other bowl games to discuss. We are coming down the home stretch here. We have got 5 more big bowl games on the docket, and we will do our best to provide you with some insight. Let's go back in time, Dan. This one on Friday night, December 30th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. It is the Capital One Orange Bowl live in Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, Florida. Good matchup here. Michigan at 10-2, a 6-point favorite over Florida State at 9-3. This is a matchup, I think, between two fan bases that have hated us at one point in time or another.
Yeah, I think so.
Is that fair to say?
That's accurate. Yeah, absolutely.
We've got FSU Twitter, which came at us literally with the fire of 1,000 suns a few years ago.
Figuratively, yes.
And then Michigan fans who come at you at weird times. They're a little more sensitive. You never know what's going to set them off. But both fan bases are very proud of their teams and very vocal on Twitter and elsewhere. I am stunned, quite frankly, that the S&P Plus has Michigan winning this one by a projected margin of 11.8 points.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
On a certain level, it does. Michigan has had times where they've been able to throw the ball downfield really well, and that would take advantage of both Florida State's weakness and injury part of their schedule. They've gotten better defensively as they've gotten healthier. Michigan has done it against lesser teams, and I would define Florida State as a lot of things, but not as a lesser team. They're talented. They rush the passer really well. DeMarcus Walker is as talented a pass rusher, perhaps, as we have. He's underrated in the country. Michigan will generate longer touchdowns, but not a ton of longer plays. Defensively, Michigan, we know, is lights out. We expect them to harass. We've seen the destruction heaped upon DeAndre Francois this season. I expect nothing less from Michigan. It's pretty impossible to move the ball through the air against the Wolverines, good or bad teams. Dalvin Cook is playing in this game, which makes things interesting. I think that's just from a pure football porn perspective. Dalvin Cook and that rushing attack against Michigan's defense should be really fun. Florida State's offense can stall out a little bit, but they do generate a lot of bigger plays. And I think, if all things being relatively not equal but competitive, I think Michigan has better lines. And in a situation like that, I think Jim Harbaugh will have this team prepared. I don't think there will be a hangover from being disappointed that they're not in the bowl game. I just don't think Michigan's offense at this point against a good enough defense is good enough to run away from this much talent. So I have Michigan here winning, but not covering. I have it 27-24 Wolverines.
Yeah, I have jotted down here Michigan wins, but I would take the points if I were actually betting money against a point spread here. I'm with you. I like Michigan's defense, I think, more than any other entity in this game. There are no weaknesses. It's very difficult to find a matchup on paper anyway that you look at and you say, hey, that favors Florida State. I don't see that. And I agree with you. Harbaugh is going to have them ready to play in this game. If anything, not a hangover, but maybe a lot of angry emotion here, given the fact that they were dropped below Penn State in the final committee rankings.
Yeah.
I think that's something that Jim Harbaugh might use to his advantage. So I think this is a really great game. I think it's a close game. There are a lot of statistical similarities on offense between these two teams, which bears mentioning. If you look at their rushing production, their quarterback rating, things like that. I think it's close. I think Michigan wins. I don't think they cover. I'm not uber confident in it. I'll say Michigan to the tune of 17 confidence points, Dan.
Wow. Okay. I think I'm about there with you.
Michigan wins. What's our Orange Bowl swag situation?
Orange Bowl swag situation is, by the way, Ty, every so often it strikes me that you would make for such a great strip club DJ. Your voice is so good and you are able to generate so much enthusiasm where I could see you being very good at that if everything else in your life fails and goes to hell.
Yeah.
I think you will have a consistent gig like Brandy to the stage, fellas, fellas, fellas. Brandy's brought to you by Blue Apron.
Coming to the stage now, Jabril Peppers. Yeah.
You asked what the swag is for this game.
Yes.
It's a strip club DJ, Mike. It's December 30th. So I'm seeing a gift suite, a Tourneau watch, and a Schutt mini helmet.
Ugh.
Depends on what's in that gift suite.
I know. We got to get
not all that enticing.
We got to get a henchman to sneak inside the gift suite with like those spy glasses to let us know what's in there.
Oh yeah.
That's what I'd like to see. All right, we'll stay in the great state of Florida. Let's go to the Outback Bowl, Dan. Monday, January 2nd at 1 p.m. on ABC. We've got Florida at 8-4, a 2.5 point favorite over Iowa at 8-4. Right. My only note here, 2016 has been rough on a lot of fronts. I believe that the Outback Bowl is proof that 2017 might not be much better.
True.
I get why Iowa fans would want to travel to Florida in January. What I can't, for the life of me, understand is why anyone in the state of Florida would want to travel to this game. You know,
Right.
If you're not motivated by warmer, nicer weather, what is this game giving you on a personal, emotional level that you can't just get going somewhere else on Monday or watching from the comfort of your couch on Monday?
You're getting two teams who are yet to solve the riddle that is 10 plus yard plays.
Yeah.
Iowa is, I think, 114th. Florida is 94th at those 10-yard plays per play, the frequency at which they can generate those. Two teams that have one really cool win this year, Iowa with the Michigan game, Florida with the LSU game, and then just disappointment. I mean, the defense was good for both of these teams, but offensively just nowhere near where it should have been, considering either what they brought back or the talent on hand. So the game might make for a nice screensaver if you happen to be having people over for a delayed New Year's Day bowl watch because it's on the 2nd and you're eating some sandwiches and football's always fun, but that's all it's giving you. Screensaver.
Someone is winning this game 10-9.
I have 14-13 Iowa.
I think it's easy to look at this game and say that Iowa can't score on Florida, but then the closer you look, the more you realize that Iowa's defense is good enough to hold down Florida's offense, which was way worse than Iowa's this year.
Right.
So I'm going to go Iowa here, and I'm going to say 10-9, and I'm going to put 2 points on it because I am not at all confident.
Yeah, I think I have a 6-pointer for this one.
What is the gift situation here? It better be good.
A gift suite appearance, a fossil watch, a coin, a cap, a beanie, a duffel bag made by whom?
Whom?
I'm asking you.
Oh, Agio.
Absolutely, it's Agio.
Great.
And a big game autograph football.
Depends on the gift suite. They should at least give him a bloomin' onion.
You would think so, right? Or
I
at
would
least,
hope so.
Have some bloomins in the locker room.
I don't know.
I mean, you'd get a North Texas situation across the board if there were bloomin' onions in the locker room.
No rules, just right. The Outback Bowl in Raymond James Stadium. Okay.
So our pal Ryan Annie is from the great city of Tampa, which we're going to Tampa soon.
We are going, yes.
So Outback Steakhouse was created in Tampa, Florida. The owners of Outback Steakhouse, according to Ryan, have never been to Australia. And they just started with like, yeah, we get it. This is what they'll probably eat there. So yeah.
Okay.
That's the Outback Bowl.
The Goodyear Cotton Bowl in AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Also on Monday, this one at 1 p.m. It's on ESPN. We've got Wisconsin at 10-3. They won the Big Ten West, damn near won the Big Ten as a whole. 6.5 point favorite over Western Michigan. The Cinderella, if you will, of this New Year's Six Bowl season. They finished undefeated, the only other undefeated team outside Alabama. PJ Fleck has the Broncos at 12-0, Dan. How do you feel about this game? Are you confident in Wisconsin's ability to win this football game?
It's a nice matchup for Wisconsin, and I don't say that just because Western Michigan is a MAC team. I say that because Western Michigan's defense will give up big plays. And Wisconsin's offense, as much as they've struggled, if you give them a little bit of room, they have the running game to take advantage. Now, Wisconsin could be one of those teams. They were playing for the Big Ten. They didn't get it done, especially later on in that game, lost in, I wouldn't say heartbreaking fashion, but disappointing fashion with the lead that they had against Penn State. So it's hard to say they'll be disappointed to be in the Cotton Bowl, but it's certainly a come down from, if they were out in Pasadena against USC, they travel so well, a lot of excitement. Wisconsin's been in the Rose Bowl so often. It's almost like a second home this past, decade or so. And to go to the Cotton Bowl to play against a MAC team, it certainly doesn't have the cachet. Do you know how many ranked teams, to flip that, or not ranked, teams with a winning record Western Michigan played this year on their way to 12-0?
2.
They played three teams with winning records. And one of those teams is Toledo, who really ran all over them. And Toledo's good, but they don't run like Wisconsin. So I feel pretty comfortable saying Wisconsin is at least 10 to 13 points better and could sort of explode in this game. Because I don't think, as much as I like Western's offense, I think this is sort of a cherry, and this isn't the sundae itself. That makes very little sense, but I'm going with Wisconsin here. I'm going to say 31-17 Badgers.
Yeah, Western Michigan's not played a defense this good all year. Right. So just by virtue of that, it's going to be tougher to score points. I'm excited to see Zach Terrell and Corey Davis against this Wisconsin defense. They're two very good players. Yeah, and I believe they'll be motivated. It might be the cherry on their season, but they'll be motivated here. This game probably means a lot more to them than it does Wisconsin. For me, that's the primary reason I'm not more confident in Wisconsin winning this football game. I just feel like Western Michigan's got more to play for. It's a time-honored tradition of the more motivated bowl team doing better in the actual bowl game. So I'm a little worried here that Western's got more to play for. They're more motivated. They come in and they jump on Wisconsin early. If they jump on them early, I think this one could get pretty damn interesting. I don't think they can hold down Corey Clement. I don't think they can hold down any Wisconsin running back for that matter. Mm-hmm. I'm just a little worried that they come out and they jump on Wisconsin early. I am going to stick to my guns and go Badgers here. 22 confidence points. I think they are demonstrably better than Western Michigan. I am worried, though, about that motivation factor. And I'm telling you, if I look at the scoreboard at like 1:42 on Monday afternoon, and Western Michigan's up 21-0, this game's over. I could see that situation happening. I don't know how likely it is, but it's definitely on my radar. So give me Wisconsin here. I think they win. I don't know about a score, but
so what in this game will you react to with like, of course that happened. How could I overlook that?
It would be the motivation factor. It's exactly as I'm describing now. Western Michigan comes in, ball of fire. They get a few big completions on Wisconsin and they go up early. Okay. That will be the thing that will haunt me.
You'll be very excited by the gift suite and the sort of gifts available by the Cotton Bowl people.
Okay. I'm listening.
And I quote, would not disclose. Would not disclose.
Okay, then. Let's move on to the Rose Bowl game.
Thoughts, Ty?
Monday, 5 p.m., ESPN USC at 9-3. A 5.5 point favorite over Big Ten champs Penn State at 11-2. It should go without saying I'm most excited to watch this game, and that's not just because I'm biased.
It's a great matchup.
Two teams peaking at the right time. Yeah. Both teams are poised for huge 2017 seasons. So I think both are going to be motivated. USC's defense to me has improved so drastically after starting out 1-3 that it bears mentioning here. Their pass defense is susceptible, though, to big plays. And Penn State kind of likes the big plays.
Yeah.
Which is a little concerning to me. That was Penn State's calling card, their own rebirth, their renaissance after losing to Michigan earlier in the year. They found that component They added it to their offense, and that's been a big part of the reason why they ripped off a bunch of wins in a row here and won the Big Ten championship. I will also add that you can run on Penn State, though, and we saw it in the Big Ten championship game. Wisconsin did it. So can Rojo, can Ronald Jones, can Justin Davis, can they run on Penn State's defense? I think they can here. I think they can. And I'm worried as a Penn State alum and as someone who has watched his team very intently throughout the latter half of the season, I am worried that Penn State's got a little bit of a one-trick pony feel to them.
Sure.
You know, it's like when you pick a team in the NCAA tournament that shoots all threes. When you pick them to go deep, you kind of know in the back of your mind that, like, if they don't hit their threes, this is going to end pretty early.
Oh, I like that comparison. Live and die. Yeah.
That's how Penn State is with the long ball, and they're exciting to watch. I feel like USC has more ways they can beat you. So
I think that's correct.
For me, I go USC. I go 9 confidence points. I say 31-27. I think a great football game. I would never bet real money on this game. If I were, I would go Penn State plus the points because I think it's probably a good back and forth game. But right now, USC to me feels a little bit more well balanced, and I'm not sure what happens in yet another game of the Trace McSorley F it we're throwing deep show. That just worries me a little bit.
So you are totally right. Both of these teams are very good, and that includes USC at generating bigger plays. And USC has found some creative ways to get the ball to Adoree Jackson on some swing passes and trickeration plays, whatever. I'm worried about Penn State because their offense is not particularly efficient. It's explosive. We've seen some big runs from Saquon Barkley, obviously the deep bombs that you've mentioned to especially to Chris Godwin. But I am a little bit worried Trace McSorley, if he does not succeed early on in the game, or if he does not succeed early on first and second down, he's secretly a pretty atrocious third down quarterback. Like he is great when it's 2nd and 6 and he has the flexibility to go deep and hit somebody in stride. But on third down, in terms of efficiency, Trace McSorley, it just isn't that guy. Not yet. I think he can be because offensively, and he throws a really nice ball. Sam Darnold is good on third down. And that's the worry to me, that Penn State's defense won't be able to get off the field. Sam Darnold just keeps moving the chains. He's just efficient at generating first downs. Interestingly enough, USC's pass defense is way better in the first half. Penn State's pass defense is way better in the second half. So as you know, that could play into Penn State's strength.
Yeah. They
are a second half team, and teams have been able to move the ball and take advantage of mistakes. USC, against at least some of the better teams USC's played, they kept turning the ball over against Utah and Colorado, letting those teams back in those games. In the case of Utah, winning that game early on in the Sam D. Arnold tenure. But I think right now, giving Clancy Pendergast enough time to prepare against Trace McSorley and that big play offense, I am going to go with USC, virtual home game, even though Penn State, I'm positive will travel extraordinarily well. I'm going to go with USC here. Comfortable, excited, with momentum. I'm going to say, I think you're sort of right. I have 31-23. So I think they barely cover, but it's back and forth for much of the game.
What's the bowl gift situation here for the Rose Bowl?
At the Rose Bowl, players will be receiving a gift suite appearance, a Fossil watch, a backpack made by whom, Ty?
Please say Agio.
It is absolutely Agio. A New Era 950 snapback adjustable hat. Not bad.
Okay.
It's fine.
Snapback adjustable hat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then finally, the All-State Sugar Bowl. This one's in New Orleans at the Superdome. Monday evening at 8:30 p.m. A good way to, I guess, get you ready for the short work week that follows for many folks. It's on ESPN. It's between Oklahoma at 10-2 and Auburn at 8-4. I believe Oklahoma is now a 5.5 point favorite. Excuse me. This line came up a little bit. This is a compelling statistical matchup because Oklahoma might have the best offense in the country, and clearly Auburn has a top 10 defense. What worries me is if Oklahoma...
Is that Bob Stoops calling?
Uh-oh.
All right. Somebody has picked up the phone, Ty.
Okay. What worries me is if Oklahoma goes up 14-0 or takes any kind of early lead on Auburn, how are they going to respond? Because offense has not been Auburn's great success in 2016. They've been better than I think a lot of people realize. They still haven't been great. And that's concerning to me. If they get in an early hole, can they come back here? I am not an Auburn fan at all. And I don't mean that on a personal level. I'm just talking about the 2016 version of this team to me was extremely underwhelming on a number of different fronts. Not defensively, but offensively, they've definitely fallen short of expectations. For me, I'm going Oklahoma. I'm going Oklahoma to the tune of 28 points here. I think they are playing at a really high level right now.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have too many questions about Auburn's offense. And if you're going to beat Oklahoma, it is going to be with a somewhat explosive, and I know they were able to run the ball. October was a nice enough month for Auburn offensively, but I don't believe in this Auburn offense enough at this point. I think they're ready to move on to next season and begin the Jarrett Stidham era. So I'm going to go with Oklahoma here. I don't think Auburn is built well enough, even though you can't take advantage of Oklahoma's defense. I think Baker Mayfield will have a nice game. And even though they won't put up video game numbers against Auburn, I still like them. I don't think I'm as confident as you are in Oklahoma at this point, just because Auburn is a team that plays really good defense and can run the ball at their very best. But we've seen too many complete shutdowns from this offense, and I know injuries have been a factor. I'm going with Oklahoma here. I think they win this game something like 27-13. I think it's pretty comfortable.
And the gift situation in our final bowl preview.
We have a gift suite appearance, a fossil watch with a custom tin tie, and a new era cap.
Okay.
But you know what? You also get to go to New Orleans. That's a pretty nice gift.
You also get to New Orleans. Okay.
Yeah.
That does it.
Yeah.
That does it. What a show. We have covered now 42 bowl games over 5 shows. Our next show is going to be on Tuesday, January 3rd. We didn't want to do a show early and then not be able to cover and talk about all of these big games taking place on January 2nd. A lot of folks obviously are going back to work on the 3rd. So we will do our best to put forth an episode as early on in the evening on the 3rd as we can. You'll have it for the middle part of your first work week back in 2017. Beyond that, Dan and I are headed to Tampa on Friday. We'll be there all weekend, coming back on, Sunday evening?
Sunday night, yeah.
Our plan will be to talk to a bunch of media folks to get their take on this huge national championship game between the two winners of the playoff games that we discussed earlier, and also to get some bonus content that we will play at some point throughout January, February, March, the springtime as a whole. And then that feeds into our national championship review show. We're going to do that on Tuesday at some point. We've yet to figure out exactly when, but the game is on Monday the 9th. We will record and publish on January 10th. So we'll review the big tamale between, if you take our picks at face value, it would be between Alabama and Clemson, a rematch.
Yeah. And then we're going to talk about it and eat fried chicken together.
That leads into our live show in New York City, January 14th. As I mentioned before, we sold out very quickly. A limited run of tickets. If this goes well, and we have no reason to think it won't, we will do one at some point in August, as Dan announced on Twitter yesterday. That would be
we'll
be
figure
the
out a
working
way.
plan. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a bunch of messages from people who were too late because we sold out pretty quickly, which is a testament to everybody's passion for weird college football talk. We will find a way to do a bigger performance of some kind in August. So Radio City, I don't know. I don't think it can hold the numbers we're thinking here, but sometimes it's good to do an intimate Radio City show. A lot of people have long considered us to be the Rockettes of college football podcasting.
Sure.
So how do you throw that away? So yes, very excited for everything coming up. There is going to be a ton of content. So Facebook, Twitter, every Snapchat, everything. Follow us wherever you care to, and we'll have a good time together.
And for those people who have asked, there will be a recording of the live show. We will put a recording out there so that people can listen and get a flavor for what this is and decide if next time around it's something they'd like to attend. We think you will, but we're biased. So do stay tuned to the podcast feed. We'll do our best to publish that so you can hear how the evening goes down. All right, Dan. I believe that is all I have in 2016. I've left it
that's all I have.
all on the field, all on the podcasting airwaves. I wish you and yours a happy new year.
Hey, you as well. Enjoy your adjusted hibachi plan.
Thank you. And enjoy your whatever plan for watching college football.
I'm going to try.
For that guy over there, Dan Rubenstein, for myself, Ty Hildebrand, thank you for listening to us all throughout 2016. Have a happy new year. We will catch you all in 2017. In the meantime, take care, be safe, enjoy the games, and stay solid.
Peace.